Hey, AC, Evan Love Pro here. No, excuse me. I was watching one of my dad's videos about autism today, and I figured, since I haven't touched much on the subject of my autism, but I have talked a lot about my epilepsy and some of my other um, health uh, issues, I figured, why not cover autism a little bit? At least, um, I guess kind of my story. I'll call it that. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Okay, so ever since I was a little girl, like really little, like since I can remember, so probably like 5 or 6 years old, I think. Um, I have known I was different than other kids. Not that like I obviously didn't look too different. I didn't act too different, I guess, for the most part. But I knew that I was different than other kids. Um, some weird things that my peers didn't have problems with, um, like keeping eye contact, and aside from normal around that age, bouncing around, so not keeping eye contact. But, like, it was literally painful for me to keep eye contact. Um, like, if I had to have eye contact with someone, whether they were my age or older than me, I'd physically have pain. It would start in my head. It'd like go through my whole entire scalp until it was covering the whole top of my head. It would just burn if I had to keep eye contact with somebody. Um, which usually made me get upset. Kind of would blackout, if you want to call it that. At the time, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I didn't know what it was, but like I just have these moments where I wouldn't know what was going on really. Just have this huge rushing sound through my ears. Um, like blind, like not knowing what the heck was going on around me. Yeah, I would pretty much go blind, where I didn't know really what was going on around me. I like pretty much couldn't see what was going on around me. And next thing I know, I'd be in the fetal position on the floor or the ground, wherever I was. Which I guess my teachers and family members just called them tantrums. Um, they weren't tantrums. It wasn't because I was trying to get my way for anything, just I couldn't handle what was going on around me, you know. So it's just written off as tantrums, or that I was just throwing a fit, whatever reason. I don't know. Which would end up me getting in trouble when I got home, would just make things worse. And they would happen at home, and get sent to bed without supper or whatever for throwing a tantrum. But I wasn't trying to get my way on anything. Um, I wasn't trying to get my way on anything. I just couldn't handle what was going on around me. Um, so it was frustrating, but just kind of dealt with it. Like, whatever. I can't get people to really understand what I want them to know. Whatever. I wasn't nonverbal. I'm pretty sure I started speaking at a normal age, so far as I know. Um, so I wasn't nonverbal, and these blackouts, which I now know were more than likely meltdowns from being overstimulated, uh, just would happen. I couldn't control it. It would just happen. Um, for whatever reason. Sorry, my hand's stuck. Uh, I hated it. I felt like I was a bad kid. I was told I was a bad kid because of them. And so I just tried my best to fight them off until, I was at least in a safe area. Something didn't work very well, but I tried. I worked on keeping contact with people, keeping eye contact with people, because that's what I was supposed to do. Even though it was physically painful for me to do, I still had to do it. Um, I can now keep eye contact for a few minutes at a time with somebody. It's not as painful as it used to be. It's still painful though. Um, but that's what society wants. So I taught myself, this hurts, but you just have to push through it. You have to do it. You have to try. Um, so you stop getting in trouble for being disrespectful. I was also fidgety child. I couldn't sit still. I had to be doing something with my hands, whether it be doodling or something like, playing with my thumbs or tapping my fingernails on my desk or table or whatever I was at, tapping my leg, rocking, which I still enjoy immensely. Rock, and I was classified as having ADHD because I couldn't sit still. I got in trouble a lot for not sitting still, and now, come to find out, what I was doing was stims. I was stimming. I was stimulating myself. It helped me concentrate in my classes. Um, helped me kind of cope with life. I mean, my life wasn't the greatest. I won't get into details about that today. Don't want to make this too long, but I probably want to be. But, my way of coping with things, I used to put headphones on and blast my music like as loud as I could stand it, which I still also enjoy because it just made my brain feel weird, but in a good way. Hard to explain exactly what it feels like, but just some of those days it's like, fuck it, putting my headphones in, turning up the music, obviously when I'm not taking care of the children, or at night, doing my own thing. It helps me relax and, keep myself calm for the most part. Now, if you took my headphones off of me because I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying, despite the fact that people thought I wasn't paying attention, actually, I used to be really good at reading lips. I didn't have to hear what you were saying to know what you were saying. And since I have issues with eye contact, sorry, speaking of fidgeting, I need to find my phone. I would look at someone's mouth or something and watch what they were saying. So I would put my headphones in, blast my music like as loud as I could stand it. And I still like to do that nowadays when I have a chance, obviously. With 4 kids running around, I don't have that chance very often, but something I do quite enjoy. I enjoy the feeling it gives me. Not meaning like in a sexual way or anything like that, just in my brain, like just weird feeling in my brain. I can't explain it, but it's a wonderful feeling. So I often got in trouble for that, which often caused more meltdowns. And it was a mess growing up. I had a lot of things. I just knew I was different. Um, I wasn't nonverbal in any means that I know of, aside from if I chose not to speak, which was actually a lot, because it seemed every time I said something, my mouth got me in trouble. But then into my teenage years, I was still different. I started getting some special interests, writing. I could write and write and write for days on end. If I had the chance, I probably would not get up to eat. Well, I know I wouldn't stop to eat or anything like that. Just write, 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 write. Like, oh, I have this idea now. I gotta write this whole entire story out, or I have a bunch of poems on my mind that I want to write. All that kind of stuff. I kind of, it was a struggle for me. Like, when I wasn't able to write, I did get pretty upset. Like, or if I was in the middle of writing or something and someone came and interrupted me, um, which they would get mad at me once again because I wouldn't respond, because I'd be in the middle of writing, not, really knowing what was going on around me, until all of a sudden they come over and grab me by the arm really hard, and I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, it scared me. And just, I got upset. I didn't have quite so many meltdowns as a teenager. I kind of, I guess, found a way, sort of, to suppress them. I didn't stim really as a teenager because everyone would stare at me and I would get self-conscious, and I'd get self-conscious if I was stimming and someone was staring at me, or if someone said something about it, like, oh, you're rocking back and forth, or you keep tapping your foot, or you can't keep your hands still. It drove me crazy. I couldn't, it was not fun. So I suppressed my stimming. I still suppress it, actually. It's kind of, I guess, bore into my brain now, that if you do this, you're going to get made fun of. So there's very few people that I actually feel comfortable stimming in front of. My dad being one of them. I can stim in front of my boyfriend without being too self-conscious. I mean, he might give me a funny look or make a little remark, but we just kind of laugh it off together. He knows that I have autism, so it's just who I am. Obviously, I'm not afraid to do it in front of the kids. They might be kind of silly about it, but they're kids. It doesn't really bother me. But if it's if I'm in public, or if it's around people I don't know very well, or that I don't know at all, I suppress it. I get very paranoid, and I suppress it. So, kind of, like I said, I kind of found a way to suppress my meltdowns, and I still had them, but it was mostly when I was alone, because if I would have one around people, I would get in a lot of trouble. Not just like, oh, getting yelled at, like, physically, I'd get in a lot of trouble by somebody. But I did have a pretty big meltdown. I think when I was like, I think I was like 16. I think. Actually, because of a boy I liked. And he was 18. He had just turned 18. It was a couple months before I was ready to turn 17. I liked him. I went to school with him. He was really nice. He listened to me. We had so much fun when we hanged out together, and we had a lot of the same friends, which they didn't set us up or anything. We just kind of met one time when I was hanging out with said friends, because I had known my friends like my whole life, pretty much. They were their mom was best friends with my mom, so we pretty much grew up together. Um, so I was hanging out with them, and I actually met this guy. It was really, really sweet to me. Like, he was kind of pushy about like sex, but not like in a physical way. Just kind of be like, "Oh, please," but I never had sex with him or anything. And I told my mom that I liked him and I wanted to date him. She was like, "Oh, he's too old for you." And we got to a huge fight over it. She actually smacked me, um, for the first time that I can recall. Because of this argument that we got into, it got really heated, and I went to go downstairs. I was pissed. I went to go downstairs. I was gonna go lay down, go listen to my music, and my cousin grabbed me, like grabbed me by my shoulders, pulled me back, and like that, had a meltdown. Dropped down to the floor. Um, I started rocking back and forth. I kept crying and whimpering for her not to hurt me. You're hurting me. Please don't hurt me. And if she like even came close to touching me, like it hurt. She didn't even have to be fully touching me. Like she could be like right here, not fully touching me, and it would hurt. Um, so I'd flinch and I'd start freaking out more. I was rocking back and forth. I don't know how long it lasted. Um, that was the first time I was actually somewhat aware of what I was doing during the meltdown. My cat came up and was rubbing against me, and that didn't bother me. I liked my cat rubbing against me, and that was kind of helping me, I guess, kind of stay somewhat like, um, not completely out of it during the meltdown. I don't know how to, like, the word I'm looking for. So, um, that was helpful with the cat anyway. But then, you know, after the meltdown, my mom's like, "Oh, I was getting ready to call the mental health people or whatever the heck they're called. So I was getting ready to call the white coats. Uh, I've never seen you do that. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff." So that was the worst meltdown I guess I could say that I recall, that I actually remember having. Um, Not to say I haven't had worse ones that I didn't know about. Okay, I met my dad when I was 17. One of my other special interests was like medical stuff, I guess. I was always kind of interested. I was debating actually being a doctor when I grew up. Then I found out how long it takes for school, and I'm like, I don't want to be in school that long. Not when I'm done with high school, but so I met him. I knew a little bit about autism because of my interest in medical, uh, whatever you want to call it, medical diagnosis, and stuff like that. I, however, did not know my dad was autistic. Had no idea. My mom cut him out of my life when I was like, I think like 2 or 3 years old, something like that. But I took it upon myself, and I met him when I was 17. I'm just like my father, pretty much. I mean, I'm not very much like my mother at all, but I am a lot like my father, and my mom always used to make comments about how much I was like my father, or how I would give her a look like my father gave her. She hated it and everything, and like, I'm sorry, I don't know what my father does. I've never met him. Well, I mean, I had, but not who when I could actually remember. So we got to know each other. We hung out a lot, just talked, really, for a while. I eventually did end up moving in with him. Honestly, the first time I lived with him, I don't really think I knew that he was autistic. I don't think he had told me. I mean, he had some I guess, weird ways to a neurotypical person. But to me, I mean, he seemed perfectly normal. He did a lot of the same stuff I did. Well, I guess I did a lot of the same stuff he did because he was before me, but you know what I mean. Um, so, to me, he was normal. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not that weird. I'm just like my dad, like, I didn't know really that much. We had, whatever, butted heads every once in a while. Sometimes I didn't understand why he would get mad about certain things. And I actually ended up moving out the first time. I think I went and lived with friends for a while. No. I think I went and lived with my boyfriend at the time. Something like that. Anyway, so I was living with friends for a while. Eventually I ended up moving back in with my dad, and I don't know who brought up the topic first, me or him, about autism. Maybe he can clarify. So, somehow we got on the subject of autism, and he revealed to me that when he was a teenager, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Which I thought was interesting. I'm like, oh, well, I thought you were just normal. I mean, I do a lot of the same stuff you did. And, like, he was very observant, as most autistic people are very observant. I am, for the most part. I mean, there's some things where I'm not very observant, too. But it's mostly, like, in dealing with other people. But I am pretty much observant of other things. And he's like, well, has anyone ever mentioned that you might be autistic? Or anything like that. I'm like, no, not that I really know of, but now that I think about it, when I did do the research, it did kind of connect to me. Like, I feel like this is exactly me. I have a lot of the typical autistic traits, I guess is the right word. Which was interesting to me. Like, well, maybe that would explain why I'm different. But I didn't have the nonverbal. So I was kind of basing off of that fact. Well, I'm not nonverbal, so I must not be autistic. But then when me and my dad got actually on the subject, he was talking about, well, you don't necessarily have to be nonverbal to be autistic. My youngest brother, who is 7 or 8 now, he was nonverbal for quite a while, but now he's chatty. He won't stop talking now. But he is not diagnosed, but suspected to be autistic. My other brother, younger than me, I'm the oldest of my siblings, who's 13 now, I think, is suspected to be autistic based on what my dad's observed, that kind of stuff. So yes, I do believe autism is a genetic, well, it's more likely to be autistic, with, if it runs in your genetics. And I went undiagnosed for a very long time. I was finally diagnosed when I was 22 with autism, ASD, autism spectrum disorder, same thing. But now that I'm 22, I don't have the sources that children and teenagers have to, get the help I need with stuff. I have my dad. He's great to talk to do all that stuff with, kind of comparing notes, I'll say. Not literally, but in a sense. We talk about a lot of that kind of stuff. And he keeps telling me, stim, just like Amethyst Shaber in her video, they say stim. But I have it to where it's suppressed mostly for me because of society, and peers of mine. I need to stim more. I don't stim a lot, which does not help with me getting frustrated and things like that. And now, as it's known, that I have epilepsy, but I also have seizures that are meltdowns. But what me and my dad kind of figure is my brain's used to seizures, and to my brain, a seizure kind of feels like what it feels like to have a meltdown for my brain. So they do manifest that way. It's hard to tell the difference unless you know like what to pay attention to, whatever. Um, so there's that now, and I don't remember those. I just know from what I've been told that I have epilepsy, but I have meltdowns that manifest as seizures, even though they're not actual like epileptic seizures. So that's interesting to me that my brain chose to do that. So I guess that's about my story. It would make it longer, but my child is, yeah, deciding he needs to wake up, even though any other time he sleeps all the way through the night. So I guess I'm gonna talk to y'all later. If you have any questions for me, just post them in the comments. If you have any, I don't know, advice, maybe, or whatever, that maybe will make me less self-conscious on stimming and other things, feel free to leave it in the comments. If you want to, you can subscribe to me on my videos. I've been kind of far in between, but that's because I'm busy, like I said, with 4 children. If you want to like this video, go right ahead. You want to share it, go ahead. Maybe it'll help somebody else who has autism. But I guess I will talk to you guys later. Love you guys.